if you were born in a month that has an A in the word, could you please stand up? Right. So if I was to ask all of you standing up now to leave the room, you'd think probably that I was crazy, but also you'd think that's a really arbitrary reason for asking me to leave the room. So please sit down again. But the point that I want to make is that the reality is that if all the men and women in this room today go into my industry, the women will have fewer opportunities, they're quite likely to get paid less than the men, and they're a lot less likely to be general managers in the future. And for me, this feels, the reason it is on their gender, and it feels arbitrary to me. So that's the point that I'm making there. Today I want to talk about diversity in our industry and the opportunities that I see for it. So I'll start with a slide. I'll get through the slides as quickly as possible because it's data and it's important that you have a feel for the industry. It's a very big industry, 7.2% of the total working population. 58% of the people working in our industry are women, but only 20%, less than 20%, are general managers. And I know that's true because in my experience, I'm on the British Hospitality Association Committee in London, and I was for years the only woman on that committee. When I go to the General Managers Conference, you see a sea of men in suits and just a few women there. And I was lucky enough to go to Cornell and do a General Managers program there, and there were 8 women out of 50 on the course. It stays level peggings to 25 and then drops off. And there's a skills shortage in chefs and management roles in our industry. And just to talk about the chefs for a minute, in London, this year, the percentage of women working in kitchens in London dropped from 13% to 11%. So it's going the wrong way. And this is against the students leaving catering college of equal numbers, in fact, slightly more women than men. So if we could retain these women that we're training, then we'd be halfway to solving our problem with the skills shortage that we have in chefs. So why the industry needs women? Well, first of all, a more diverse board makes more money. There are lots of studies out there now, and they all say the same thing. They just make more money. They're more successful. They're less likely to go bust, and they have better decision-making. And when I first got interested in this, I asked myself, I looked at my own leadership board, and it was entirely women. So my problem was the other way around, really. And so I got thinking about, why is that? Why am I choosing to promote people that look like me, that have my kind of management style? And I think part of it is continuity. I was looking for continuity in the business. But also, I think there's an element of ego in there. I kind of wanted to promote and prolong my own management style. And I think as well that I thought that if everybody thought the same way and were going for the same goal and the same destination, we'd kind of get there quicker. But I'm wrong about that, because what I want really in my boardroom is I want debate, and I want to have these diverse opinions so that you have good discussion at that point and you don't get to implementing something and then realise that it was the wrong decision. So I have since then employed a male general manager, and I have another man on our head of HOD team, and it has made a difference to the debate and it has improved our performance. So I absolutely can bear out that part of this. Mirroring the customer perspective, and women are responsible for 70% of buying decisions. So why would you not have somebody on your board to mirror that customer perspective? Halfords have recently discovered that their buying public is to the large degree women, and yet the sales force is mainly men. And they've actually implemented a program now because they believe they're going to sell more when their sales force better mirror the customers that are walking through the door. Accessing the widest talent pool. So what are the barriers? 70% cite that combining senior level work with caring responsibilities. And I know what it's like to juggle family and work. I've been doing it for a really long time now. But I've been lucky enough to be self-employed during that time. So it means that at any point in my career and through the time of having babies and small children, I've been able to flex my working hours and flex my role according to my needs at the time. And I really believe, and you don't hear people saying this very often, but I absolutely believe that if you manage to successfully combine your family and your home life with your working life, that it's a symbiotic relationship. It's a 2 + 2 = 5 job, because you each feed off the other, energise the other. Dominant masculine cultures in organisations, and I think kitchens are a typical example. You know, you hear about this stereotypical type of kitchen, very sort of male dominated. And I recently met somebody called Gareth Billington, and he is the head chef for Everton Football Club. He has a brigade of 35, and 19 of his brigade are women. And he has found that there is a different ethos in the balance of his kitchen, that the communication is excellent, that people are supportive. There isn't the testosterone-fueled ego that you can often see in these sort of celebrity programs. And they have a highly performing team there. The other reasons: lack of networking, exclusion from informal networks, and lack of women in senior positions. And I don't believe it's just senior positions where we're missing women. I think that it's important to have women in those senior positions, but it's also really important for women to be able to see the next step up, so they can see where they're going, and then the step after that. So we need women throughout organisations, not just dotted around in strategic places. So that kind of concludes my slides. But I'd like to say that if men and women all want to work in thriving, vibrant, exciting organisations, and if men and women all want to work in forward-thinking, forward-looking industries, and if men and women both want to have a great work-life balance, and they both want to have fair pay and fair opportunity, then this isn't a case. I'm not pleading for an us and them situation. This is about us, all of us, and what we're going to do to improve the situation. So what can we do? As an employer, what can I do? Well, I think first of all, I have to make sure that I'm employing fairly, and that the way that I recruit and promote is fair. And the important part of that is that we should be measuring diversity in our business, because that means that we can really see whether there's unconscious bias that's getting in there. And when we're doing a good job, then we should share these stories with our colleagues and hold up good case studies. We should lobby our industry bodies and encourage them to support and encourage diversity in our industry. And then what about as employees? What can employees do to forward the argument for diversity? And I think first of all, when you go for a job, you should be asking, what is the diversity of your leadership board? Because if there are no women in the leadership team, I suggest that you look for a different company, because it is giving you a big clue there that you're not going to get all the way to the top in that business. And I think as well, as employees, it's really helpful as an employer if you are talking to your employer and you're saying, this is what I'm training for, or these are my family commitments, this is what I need for my role, this is why I want to flex my role in this way for this time. And I've always been really happy to do that for my staff, because I know that it's always rewarded me. My loyalty to them and supporting them has always come back tenfold and supported the business. As women, what can we do? And I think the last video referenced Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, but I really do recommend, if you haven't read it, read it. I read it, I think it was last year, and I was off to a government lobbying meeting at the House of Commons, and I arrived and walked into the room, and there was one seat, it was packed already, there was one seat right next to the chairman of the meeting, and a couple of seats by the wall at the back there, and one of the ladies just shifted along and said, do you want to sit here? And I'd just been reading it, and I thought, no, I've come to this meeting, and I want to make a point, I want it to be worth my while. So I pushed my way, squeezed my way around and got to the front and sat down next to the chair of the meeting. And I was able to make some important points, and I did help to steer the conversation. And it was worth my turning up My point is, it's not worth going to a meeting if you don't intend to make a contribution to it. So her points are, sit at the table, make a contribution, don't apologise, don't preface what you want to say by, this might sound stupid. I've really heard that, please don't do it. As men, what can you do? And I suggest that you can support your female colleagues, because it's great for you, it's better for your career if you're in a really effective, functioning team, and that means men and women in that team. And what about as students in universities? What can you do? Well, I think that you have a stronger voice than ever you've had in my career, because at this moment we are, as employers, fighting, falling over ourselves to try and get graduates. And so your voice is really strong, and you have the opportunity to challenge employers and say, what about diversity in your businesses? I think that you can highlight these issues. And when you choose to go on work placements, and I know in our industry it involves quite a lot of work placements and industry experience, choose those employers that are showing good diversity policies, and don't work for the ones that aren't. And as academics, don't take partners onto your courses and into your students if they're not showing that they are employing equally and giving opportunity to everybody. I think beyond that, you can write to journals, industry journals, and give your opinion piece. This is your chance to spell out to the industry that you want to go into what you want your work-life balance to look like, what you want your future working career to be. And this is a really special opportunity you have at the moment. So I would urge you to use your voice. So I really believe in diversity. I really believe that it makes better business, and it gives us the opportunity for a better lifestyle and work balance. I've had a fantastic career in hospitality. It's been exhilarating, challenging, varied, fun. It's been completely brilliant. And at the same time, I've been able to have a very full family life and a pretty full-on sporting life. And I really want that for everybody in the future. So that's my bit done with. I would like to ask from you, what are your ideas about how we can improve things in the future? And if you're interested in what I've been saying here today, I'd be very interested if you could come and give me, speak to me at the end of it and tell me if you're interested in keeping in touch and helping to move things forward. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.